Welcome to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Jacob, where I was going to do my normal spin in, but there's a cat asleep on my foot and I didn't want to wake her up. Baby Yuna is so cute. So anyway, today's question comes from Lake. And in parentheses, I just like signing my name, LOL, in parentheses. Okay. And asks tutorials. How do you feel a good tutorial should be done in a game? Are there games that need more of a tutorial? Do sequels need tutorials? How can tutorials be done horribly? So to answer your four fucking questions, a good tutorial is the one you don't see because you learn from the design of the game. An amazing example of this, just off the top of my head, would be pretty much any Mega Man game. I have a unique history with the Mega Man series. You boot that game up, at no point does it tell you what to do. And yet you can play through that whole game your first time and pretty much figure out everything. Because the game is designed around teaching you stuff early on. Some Mega Man games definitely do this better than others. However, in general, they do a really good job. You're usually presented with an opportunity to understand what's going to happen before it happens. You have a chance to play around with your movesets. And by movesets, I mean running, jumping, and shooting, because that's all you do in Mega Man games. Some of them you have like a slide or a dash, or you know what I mean. You learn how to do things based on the level design. You have the opportunity to approach these at your own pace until you learn, and then the level then presents you with more challenging aspects where you can then put that to the test, and it just makes you better as you go. Good tutorials are the ones you don't see. Now, your second question.
You said, is there games that need more tutorial in the period? So it's, are there games that need more tutorial in the question?
Yes, I'm going to do this to you, Lake. I don't care. Are there games that need more of a tutorial? Yes. Okay, so your next question. Do sequels need tutorials? That's complicated, and I'm going to say yes. Sometimes people don't start with the first game in a series for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they didn't have a chance to do it. Maybe they were in a financial position where they couldn't get the first game, but now they can get the second one. Maybe as they were growing up, they had to rely on their parents to get their games, and now that they're adults, they can get games when they want them, and they missed the first game in a series, but now they can get the second one. Maybe the first game was bad, but the sequel's really good. There's a lot of different reasons to why someone would start with the second game in a series rather than the first. And because of that, there needs to be some form of tutorial to get the player acclimated to the game, even if they didn't play the first one. That said, sometimes, not always, but sometimes the second game in a series, or the third or fourth or fifth game in a series, plays differently. Maybe it's only a few tweaks here, a few tweaks there. Maybe it's drastically different gameplay. The game is going to need to provide information about that, whether it just be text on the screen or whether it be really good design that you don't see, that you just learn as you go. Maybe you get to see a cutscene of your character pulling a sword out of, I don't know, a dead body or something, and like doing a little flourish with it, and you're like, ooh, I wonder if I can do that. That's teaching you without telling you. Unless you can't do that flourish, in which case it was just cool, and now you're just confused, and it depends on the game. Some games are really good about doing this, some really aren't. So do sequels need tutorials? Yeah, if they're done correctly, but yeah, I would say so. At least some kind of tutorial. How can tutorials be done horribly? Navi. Everybody hates Navi. Because Navi never shuts up. That's one of the big problems with tutorials when they're done incorrectly. They treat you like you're a fucking idiot, like you can't figure anything out, and it gets really frustrating that the game doesn't respect your intelligence. It's also really annoying when the game constantly pops up and is constantly telling you how to play the game. You go to the final boss of a game and it's still telling you, pull right trigger to shoot your gun, dodge with the B button. It's like, bruh, I've been playing this game for 25 hours. I know what to do. Another way that a tutorial can be done horribly is if it doesn't give you any information at all. And so you can't figure anything out. It's got bad level design, bad mechanic design. Everything falls apart because you don't know what you're doing. And actually, now that I think about it, some games, and I'm actually going to use Diddy Kong Racing as an example of this. This isn't a mechanic thing, but it's going to hopefully get my point across. But the story of Diddy Kong Racing is not in the game. You can play that game front to back, and you will not understand at all that there is a story, because the entirety of the story is in the instruction manual that came in the box with the game. And if you didn't know that, then you will play the game without knowing anything. Sometimes, instead of putting story in the manuals, they put the tutorial in the physical manuals that came with the game. Of course, this is a thing that happened a long time ago, not so much now, considering a lot of games are digital, or all they come with is a little QR code that says, here, scan this, and whatever. If you didn't have that, you just had to figure it out on your own. A lot of games were designed with the idea that you would read the manual. So it's not inherently that the game had a bad design, it's just that for the time, you were meant to have extra information that you don't have now, because if you buy it off eBay, it may not come with the instruction manual. If you, like, emulate it. It's not gonna come with an instruction manual, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I got a little carried away there, but I was just Diddy Kong Racing. You guys know how I feel about Diddy Kong Racing. Another way tutorials can be done horribly is not just that it's still constantly trying to tell you simple things at the end of the game, but also if the core tutorial itself takes too long and you just get bored with it. Learn how to jump and you got to jump through 75 hoops to prove that you know how to push the jump button. That's far too long. That's annoying. That's boring. And sometimes you want to get to the meat of the game and the tutorial just won't let you go. Kingdom Hearts 2!
Roxas, this man speaks nonsense.
But now anyway, back to the previous question that I skipped over for the lulz. Is there games that need more of a tutorial period? Yeah. I mean, I honestly can't think of any off the top of my head. It's not super common, but I would say that there are a lot more that overdo it rather than ones that underdo it. So, are there games that need more of a tutorial? Yes. Can I think of any? No. That didn't really elaborate much from my joke answer, so I guess I'll just go. But before I do, make sure you share this video with your...